We've finally come down from an exhausting set of solar storms, and we've got the Aurora photos to prove it. And an old M-flare player survives its backside journey around the sun and comes into view again. Will it be an M-flare player? All that in the news this week. We're coming down off of that huge high from those solar storms. As a matter of fact, the sun has gotten really quiet. There's not much in the way of eruptions. We are experiencing a little turbulent wind from this big coronal hole that we have up here. But outside of that, the main story is the east limb. You can see the huge bright region there on the east limb. That is old region 2403. That was the big M-flare player from last month. But strangely enough, as it's come into view, it's not really being all that active. The one that's stealing the show is region 2415. This little guy is growing like gangbusters. As a matter of fact, if we compare the two regions, you can see region 2418 is clearly much larger, but 2415 is actually growing. It's got these new spots in here, and it's changing and getting really complex very fast. So we think there's a very good chance that if it continues to grow like this, we might actually see some M-flares from that region. Switching to our M-flare threat meter, you can see we've been very quiet when it comes to flares. In fact, the flux levels have been so quiet that if it weren't for these solar storms, you amateur radio operators probably wouldn't get much propagation anyway. Now, once region 2418 and 2015 came into view, you can see those levels rise, and now we're seeing B-class flares and C-class flares, and that's all due to region 2415. So we're really keeping a close eye on that one. Switching to our solar storm conditions, as you can see, there was more red than green this week. It all started with a storm that began on the 7th and stormed in through the 8th. We had a little pocket of clarity on the 9th, and then it picked up again, and it stormed all the way to the 12th. We then had another little pocket, then it picked up again on the 14th and continued storming. It's finally settled down. I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted just looking at these moderate level storms. They gave us aurora all around the world, and you poor amateur radio operators, if you didn't get on at the right time, you didn't get on at all. And we have so much aurora and so many photos that came in. Thank you so much. I can't even show them all. I'll try to highlight some of the most amazing shots that we got, but I'll name far more aurora pictures than I'll have time to show. So let me get started. We had aurora in Sweden and in Norway, of course, but we also had aurora clear down in the Netherlands and in Germany. In the UK, the aurora were all over. We had it in Norfolk and in Cumbria and also in Yorkshire. We had aurora in Scotland and in Ireland. Someone even saw it as they were flying from Iceland over Icelandic air. Now, when we got to the other coast, we had it in Quebec. We had tons of aurora in Ontario and Saskatchewan, and tons, absolutely amazing coronas in Alberta, Canada. We also had it in the States. We had it in New York, many places in New York. We had it over Michigan. We had it in South Dakota. We had it in Idaho. We even had gorgeous lights over the city of Seattle. Now down south, we had tons of aurora, just beautiful shots in both New Zealand and in Tasmania. So what else does the sun have in store for us this week? Well, this is stereo A. It's our backside monitor. You can see here's Earth, here's the sun, and here's stereo A staring at the sun from behind. Now, do you see that region way far over in the corner? That is region 2415, and it's growing like gangbusters. So it was born on the backside, and now it's rotated into Earth view. And the other huge glow you see on that portion of the limb, that is region 2418. That's the old M-flare player, but it's really not doing that much. In fact, there's really not much going on the backside despite all the complexity. So as these regions rotate into view, we'll hopefully get a better look at it, but I'm not expecting any solar storms or any new activity outside of that one little active region. Returning to the disk, you can see we have a whole host of active regions that are rotating off of the west limb. They've been pretty quiet. The main players here are region 2415, 18, and possibly even 19. But 2415 is the one that we're really watching. It's in the Earth strike zone right now, and it's growing like gangbusters. So it could become an M-flare player, and we are paying very close attention. Switching to your solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we do have a little bit of effect from that coronal hole that I showed a while back. So NOAA is giving us about a 25% to a 30% possibility of minor storms at high latitudes, but really only expecting unsettled conditions. It's kind of more like a turbulent wind and not really giving us that much disturbance. At mid latitudes, we're really not expecting too much, maybe some active conditions over the next few days or so, but outside of that, things are calming down. It's getting kind of quiet, and we shouldn't see anything until late on the 20th, maybe into the 21st, when we start feeling the effects of a new fast wind. Switching to your solar flare and particle radiation storm outlook for the coming week, although we're watching region 2415, it has not developed into a big M flare player just yet. So NOAA is giving us about a 25% chance for an M-class flare over the next few days, which might increase it to a 30% chance near the end of the week as we get more regions that rotate into view. But pretty much the flux levels should be okay. They're hanging on there, but it's just at the cusp of being able to have good amateur radio propagation. And of course, we're not expecting any radiation storms at this time. So this week looks like it's going to be pretty quiet. We've finally gotten through those solar storms, so you amateur radio operators can finally get back on the bands and enjoy yourselves. You GPS UAV flyers can finally get out there and fly your drones with abandon. And you Aurora photographers can finally rest, rest, rest. So everybody enjoy your week off, because you never know when the next one's going to come. I'm Tamitha Scove. Thank you for watching.